Alright, what's up guys? I'm still waiting for my FiTech unit to get checked out. I should have got there today, but in the meantime I do have some stuff to tinker with that I can actually show you guys, you know, some educational type stuff. So I have my dash out of my car right now. This is my dash panel for my car. My buddy made this bracket. It basically matches the shape of the stock cluster, and then you just cut to shape whatever you want. That's who also made my gauge plate in the middle. So I do have to install this. This is going to be really easy install. I found out how to wire it for the oil pressure light, but I'm really thinking about some other stuff because this is still a street car. I drive on the street pretty often, and needless to say, it's not a very law-abiding street car. So I want to kind of keep some features, if I can, to keep it as legal as possible, if that makes sense, you know. So, you know, they can't bother you about the little stuff. That's the way you want to keep it. So I got some things here I'm going to show you guys. I really wanted, just ignore this mess of wires because it's disgusting the way my gauges are wired up. Probably going to redo it because I'm going to add a couple gauges, I think, but for now we'll show you. This is the stock cluster harness. You got 3 plugs. Here's the stock cluster. You can check out the ridiculous amount of miles that's on this chassis. 260, almost 64,000 miles. And for a bit of that, the speed sensor wasn't working, so it's actually got more than that. But this is the back of the board, and it's actually very easily labeled and super easy to use. So as you can see here, this says you know, it says turn left, turn right, and it even has like Japanese shit, if you can read Japanese somewhere. I found, there you go, Japanese, dude. That's probably just for the Japanese cluster and not this. Like, see, this one says Hikis. This is that we don't have. This isn't a Hikis cluster because we don't have Hikis cars. So, but I just traced it to the spot it's at on the plug, found the plug, and then basically just tested. Oh, did I just scratch my brand new foam? I didn't. You just turn the turn signal on. You can hear it ticking. By the way, the hazard switch has to be plugged in for this to work. So boom, right turn signal's on, and the right turn signal is this one here, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's not the right turn signal that's on. There you go. So that's flashing, so that's the right wire. So I just wanted to make sure I could find these first, and there's also a high beam wire. So what essentially I'm going to do is, I'm going to add these lights back to my custom cluster. So I'm going to put a dummy light probably here and probably here, and then one here for the probably put the oil pressure one here or over here, and then the high beam light as well. I'm going to use much smaller ones for those, but that's kind of the idea. And you can actually find everything on here. I mean, literally it's labeled, and there's actually a kind of a write-up on Nico Club of a couple of them, so you don't even have to check. It'll just you know, show you. This one says Illumination Plus, so maybe that's the high beam. So does this one. So one's probably the ground and one's probably the hot, but that's probably the high beam. I'm gonna check that now. Actually, this one says beam up here, so I'm gonna check those. I have a feeling that this is actually gonna be a lot easier than I thought. They can all just use a common ground of the car, so all you need to do is hook up the hot side. So I'm gonna look into this, see what AutoZone sells for lights. I'll probably have to like Amazon 2 days some lights over, and they probably won't be here till next week because of the holiday. But I'm gonna get this taken care of, and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright guys, so I got everything kind of mapped out here. I just had to go look for the lights that I want to use. It is a mess in here, but I'm really just not ready or like qualified to tackle thinning out this harness. Like, I would hate to see what would happen if I tried that. Now, if you ever do remove your dash, make sure you tape up these connectors, because I don't know if you noticed, but they're not like a normal connector where like it's got like insulation, you know, like a plastic, the insulation of the plug all the way around the connector. It actually, you can actually tell on here, the contacts are on the outer edge of the plug, and they're all bare, and most of them are for hot. Most of them only come on when you use certain accessories on the car, but make sure you tape them off, because I actually one of them wasn't taped off originally apparently because it just arced off the steering wheel hub. But just make sure you do that, because you'll be chasing down wiring problems, and it could just be shorting out when, you know, you turn on your turn signal because you didn't tape that up. Alright, so here's the dash as it is pretty much in its final form. I might add a light up here. AutoZone doesn't sell the blue little LEDs. I ordered the green ones. They'll be here tomorrow for my turn signals. So I drilled the holes. I already got the measurements for that. I added the shift light from the tack. It does have this little one, but it includes this big one, and I had nothing to put here, so that can go there. If I ever decide to put a gauge in, I can just reshape this hole to fit a gauge. Alright, so here's the final product. There's a little bit of a gap at the bottom. I'm not too worried about it. The stain will hopefully hide it. Kind of hard to see anything, but you can see the wood grain. The circles aren't perfect. They weren't perfect earlier, but you'll see I used the flap disc to do the outside edge, and that came out really straight. These ones I kind of figured out how to cut with the knife, so that worked. Everything fits. I can't test these. They'll honestly probably have to be bored out a little bit with the drill bit, because it's a 9/16 and I only have a 1/2 inch bit, so I just rocked it around. But I'm gonna show you guys how to do stain. If you don't know, you just get a rag, clean rag. I wear a glove because I don't want this stuff on my fingers. And you just go with the grain and you wipe the stain on like that. And I'm also gonna put like a sealer on this to make it nice and shiny so it matches the door panels even more. Alright, so here's the dash panel all stained. It's not finished yet. This has to dry overnight. And then what you do is you add a polyurethane top coat like the protectant. But one coat of stain did get this extremely close to my doors. Like I said, it won't be the same because they're different woods. But I used the red oak stain. And it came out almost perfect. Alright, while that's clamped up, that has to dry out overnight. That stain, like I said, has to completely basically evaporate out. It'll just leave the color behind so that when I lay on the polyurethane, it's not like soaking into that. But in the meantime, I'll show you guys something I made. Boom, I just wrapped it with some vinyl wrap I had laying around, but as you can see, let me move the camera around. It's a plug for my hood scoop. So boom, this pops in the front and seals it. All I did was use a piece of like 3/4 inch, it's like baseboard. It's I think 4 inches high, and then this weather stripping from Lowe's, and I screwed on a piece of plexiglass because that's what I had around for material at the time, and wrapped it so it doesn't look ugly. And that's just to kind of keep dirt out of there. One more quick project I'm going to show you guys before I go in for the night. I just tack welded in these little plates to fill these blinker holes and then siliconed them. It'll just get primered over anyways, but this is pretty much the line for the over fender. So here forward is going to be hidden. It's just, there was just a hole there and it keeps water out that way from getting in between the over fender and the quarter panel and getting in there. So just something to think about if you guys are doing something like this. Alright guys, so everything's dried up in terms of the stain, so it's time to add this like polyurethane or polyacrylic finish. It's like water-based polyurethane, I'm pretty sure. It dries super quick, so I got a fire starter, like I have a heater on to really get this place warmed up so it'll dry faster. And apparently you can spray this. My dad was telling me, and I don't feel like brushing it because I don't want to see the brush strokes in the finish. So he was saying you can spray this straight, and we're gonna try it with this trusty Harbor Freight spray gun. We're just gonna go. I don't know what this is. Alright, so this clear stuff, if you notice I probably sprayed a little bit too much. Little kind of a bead at the bottom, but that is actually the sealant right there. It has a bluish tint to it when you first spray it. So once it, like if it's too thin, you won't really see the bluish tint, but once that bluish tint starts to build up, you know you got a pretty good coat on there. You don't want to overdo it clearly, because especially this, like my door panels when I did this, you could lay them flat so they would dry without any runs. You could get like a run in this, but if anything it'll just pull up at the seam. I'm not worried about that, but I have to do a couple more coats and then sand it, because this stuff actually soaks in and it like raises the grain, like it kind of makes the wood like puff up in like certain spots. So you really quick sand it, and then you spray another coat or two on top of that to like get that smooth finish. So that's what I gotta do. It takes 30 minutes or so to dry. That's why I started early, and I'll get back to you guys when it's all done. Alright guys, it's all dried up. I sanded it, repainted it again, gun's all clean, the dash is mostly together. AutoZone still didn't get my lights in. They're supposed to be in today. Called them, they said possibly another truck's coming, could be on there. But here's the final product. I mean, these gauges are dirty, like what a scumbag I am to show you that. But I mean, I think it looks pretty killer with those two lights in there. It'll look really full, and before it was just big blank space. Now it kind of has like something going on, and I like that. So I'll get back to you when it's in the car. What's up guys? AutoZone finally got my dash lights in. It's been like almost a week. I should have ordered them off Amazon, but you know, can't change it now. Here is the dash. I'm using my iPhone as a light. Fully installed. And I made this. I didn't show you guys. It looks so much more red on camera. It's really just a deep brown. I got all these gauges for Christmas, so they all match now. And my door panels come across to the dash. Gauges and my steering wheel and my cup holder. It's all wood, everything. But I'm gonna show you guys how it's looking. As you can see, everything over here works perfect. They're already synced purple. I just haven't synced these yet. I usually do go with the purple or the light blue, honestly, because I feel like they're just the best for me. The light blue I think works best at night, but I'm probably gonna hook up the dimmer wire. But we got the green lights working. The red light is extremely bright. But if you give her the beans, she make sure it's in neutral. Should indeed go out. There we go. So that basically means we reached more than 20 PSI. So yeah, they all work. Everything looks sweet, as you can see. And that's pretty much it for this video. I'm gonna go edit this now. It's been way too long of a process because of AutoZone. But I did get good news today. I called FiTech. No good news from them. Kind of shitty news. They were like, oh yeah, they were supposed to call me back yesterday, never did. Never heard anything about the ECU unless I contacted them. But he's like, yeah, he went and looked at it today for me, like right on the phone instead of waiting, because he clearly didn't remember yesterday to check. He said that the ECU's fried, they tested it, but he's like, oh yeah, bad news is, because it's a 3003 unit, that's like the part number, we don't have that ECU in stock. It's back ordered till the first week of January, which is only a week away, but I have to wait a week to get them, at least, possibly more. Plus, he said there's a line of ECUs waiting to get fixed before mine, then to wait for shipping. I was like, dude, I can't do that. It's already been 2 weeks with you guys since I've pretty much had this issue. So I called Summit. He said, talk to Summit, see what they'll do. Summit just sent me the confirmation. They're sending me a whole new FiTech unit. So big shout out to Summit. I will continue shopping there. I love you guys. Great customer service. So that's coming, and this car will be running again, which I'm so excited for. So watch out for that video. And that's it, guys. Till next time.